And Tanel Leok down there in 5th. Ken de Dijker, he was 6th after quite a monumental battle with Clement de Sal. De Sal nearest the screen, 25 on the LS Motors Honda in the colours of the Belgian flag in that riding kit that he's using this weekend. Matteo Bonini on the Silver Action KTM. Goes around the outside though, looks like he's got a good jump as well. As one of the riders just falls off at the back there, going through that first turn. Out towards the finish line jump they go, but Ken de Dijker now challenging his fellow countryman, Clement de Sal, and moves easily ahead. De Sal though fighting back. Over the finish line jump, moves to the inside, protects that line there, gives Ken de Dijker absolutely nowhere to go on that Tekka Suzuki. So the LS Motors Honda rider, Clement de Sal, leads here. Weather conditions absolutely appalling. The circuit though in good condition, the sand a little bit heavy. Oh, Clement de Sal almost off the bike there and clutches the hay bale as well. And that allows de Dijker back up the inside, who holds the inside line there, takes a sneaky look over his shoulder to see where de Sal was. Can de Sal challenge? Well, not from there, he won't. Ken de Dijker, the tall Belgian, having a good ride here. So too, Manuel Priem on that factory Aprilia. He's inside the top 5 at the moment, having a great ride. Oh, and he goes off. Oh, and he's over the berm and over the bars and goes down. Fortunately, he keeps it running, or does he? Well, the Aprilia, yes, he did. He kept his hand on the clutch, kept it running. It's also an electric start, that machine, but he didn't need the electric button there, as he heads over that Red Bull bridge over the tabletop and into that corner there, past pit lane. Luca and the rest of the team will just be holding their hearts in their mouths there for a moment. Kevin Strybos back from injury on that Martin Honda. He's also having a good ride. He's down in about 7th position at the moment. So not a bad weekend considering his first race back from that wrist injury, and also dislocated his collarbone a week before this event as well. Tony Cairoli now on the Red Bull Ducati Yamaha. He's now in 9th place. He was outside the top 15 on lap 1. Trying to close down the gap to his teammate Tanel Leok on the second of those Red Bull Ducati Yamahas. Josh Coppins and David Philipparts under the Brawn Bridge. This is the battle for 4th position. Coppins has the inside line. Coppins squares it off and goes straight for his teammate and nudges Coppins aside and then makes a gesture towards the New Zealander. Was that an apology though? It looked like it from where we were, but coming out of the final corner, Ken de Dijker has quite a lot of time in hand. He will be victorious here in Moto number 1 on the Tekka Suzuki. The team have a workshop just around the corner from the circuit, so you can guarantee there's a lot of laps been ridden around the circuit in 2009. There is Ken de Dijker celebrating over the line, much to the delight of the Belgian crowd here. Throws his goggles off to the crowd. Clement de Sal was 2nd. Steve Ramon, his teammate, first race back from injury, was 3rd. Coppins 4th, Cairoli 5th, Nagel 6th. Philipparts made a mistake, dropped back to 7th. Tanel Leok was 8th. 9th place was Kevin Strybos, 10th was Manuel Priem. Timotej Potacek, the 2K winner, had a great ride for 11th. Martins was 12th. Cairoli though extends his points in the championship over Max Nagel. Philipparts is 3rd. De Sal, de Dijker, Coppins closing up between those 3 riders. That battle for 4th really starting to heat up now. Swanepoel down there in 9th. Egil Leop not here this weekend. He remains in 10th. MX-1 race 2, and Clement de Sal, Ken de Dijker, Steve Ramon, Josh Coppins all get off to a good start, but it's Max Nagel, number 5. De Sal goes down, so too Tom Church on the Bill-based CCM at the back there. So Clement de Sal, who was 2nd in race 1 and looking at taking the top step possibly in the Grand Prix this weekend, has a lot of work to do. He's down on the deck and right at the back of the pack. Conditions, as you can see, the sun is out, the rain has shifted, the wind has even picked up a little bit here. So the circuit going to be getting better as the race goes on. De Dijker up the inside of Manuel Priem, now into 2nd position, pushing the Aprilia rider back to 3rd to deal with the 2nd of the Tekka Suzuki riders, Steve Ramon, in 4th. So that's 2nd, 3rd and 4th in shot there. Then we've got Gareth Swanepoel back there in 5th on the factory Kawasaki. Manuel Priem, though, having a good look at the inside. Loic Lyon's going down on the 2nd of the Aprilia, on the JK Dutch Aprilia. Cedric Malott on the CAS Honda back from injury, running in the back of the Frenchman Leonce. Max Nagel now coming under pressure from Ken de Dijker. Well, Ken de Dijker making it look so easy there. Is he on course, though, to take his second race win of the weekend and the perfect score at home in Belgium? Max Nagel fighting back and finds a way through. So Max Nagel suddenly saying, I don't want to lay down, roll over and die in this one. I am going to take the challenge to you, Kenneth. And here he is doing just that. 24 minutes plus 2 laps to go. Max Nagel is our new race leader on the factory Red Bull KTM. Ken de Dijker starting to wilt in the warming conditions, and he's under pressure now and being passed by number 11, Steve Ramon, his teammate in the Tekka Suzuki squad. Both these riders possibly looking for deals in 2010. Maybe one or both of them will be staying with their existing team. So maybe we'll see a bit of a battle here being staged in the closing stage of this race between these two riders. At the moment, though, Steve Ramon holding the advantage there in second position. Back end of that Suzuki just coming out momentarily. Ken de Dijker all over the back of him still in third place. Looking to make a move up the inside, gets the drive down, gets the power down as well at that back end, and moves back into second position. So Ken de Dijker maybe not as tired as we thought he was. Steve Ramon now in third. That rider in shot with the white helmet. Number 11 on his bike, two-time world champion, of course, in MX-1. And de Dijker now, Ramon now coming under pressure from Tony Cairoli, who goes third. So Tony Cairoli had a quiet weekend. He was way down the order in qualification after making a couple of mistakes. Left him with a lot of work to do from the outside of the gate. Here he is, though, closing down on Ken de Dijker. De Dijker currently in second position. Tony Cairoli making a move around the outside. Then switches to the inside. Not going to get through there, though. Battling hard, though, in third place. Can he find a way around here? Well, de Dijker's got good drive, so too Tony Cairoli, but de Dijker doesn't jump through the wave section. And look at that. Cairoli now into second, making light work of those rolling whoops. And look how much distance he's put between himself and Ken de Dijker in the space of, 30, 40 metres. So Ken de Dijker really starting to fade now, but he knows that he'll win the overall Grand Prix if he was to stay there in that third position. Tony Cairoli, well, he could go on and take second position, might get him on the podium when the checkered flag drops. Just taking a look over his shoulder there just to see exactly where Max Nagel is. Well, Nagel around about 20 seconds ahead. He also takes a look over his shoulder. Coming into the final corner, Max Nagel, number 5 on the bike. On that factory Red Bull KTM will take the checkered flag in moto number 2. Doesn't win the overall Grand Prix, though. That will go to Ken de Dijker. But Nagel does claim victory in the second race. Cairoli was second, de Dijker third. Ramon, a good ride for him in fourth. Preem, Leot, Coppins and Swanepoel down there in 8th. Ninth was DeSalle, 10th. And fading, David Philipparts. Malott, good points for him in 11th. Jason Dugan on the Phoenix Tool CCM was 12th. But Ken de Dijker wins the Grand Prix from Nagel and Cairoli, tying on points with Ramon, but Cairoli gets it on the best result in the second race. DeSalle drops down the order to 5th. David Philipparts, not ideal for him, but it's still 25 points on the board. He's down there in 9th this weekend, ahead of Shannon Terreblanche. What a good result for him. Ken de Dijker, though, the man who will stand on the top step of the podium. He doesn't even need a top step, really, because he's still taller than everybody else, even without that top step. Cairoli will be third this weekend. Max Nagel second. Hilda Kleiss doing the honours to Max Nagel. Nice piece of glassware there, but Ken de Dijker it is that will receive the piece of glass with the number 1 in it from Peter van Veldhoven, the mayor of Lommel. And the Belgian fans loving the result there from Ken this weekend. Dr. Wolfgang Schrupp, though, doing the honours. Hands the red plate to Tony Cairoli. He's still more than 50 points clear in the championship as they go to Lommel, to Lockett in the Czech Republic in 1 week's time. So Tony Cairoli still ahead of Nagel in the championship. Philipparts third. De Dijker moves from 6th to 4th with that victory this weekend. Yamaha moving clear in the manufacturer's chase. KTM second, Honda third, with Suzuki down there in fourth place. CCM bringing up the rear though. But what a day it's been for Ken de Dijkum. He joins a long list of illustrious Belgians who've won at home in Belgium. Those include, of course, Stefan Everts, Joel Smets, Roger de Costa, Joel Robert. Here's the lineup then for MX2 Race 1. Marvin Musquin on pole, Guarneri second, Gonçalves third, Roulants, Verbruggen, Larsen, Oban and Larrière. Jake Nichols came from 14th to qualify 11th. Dennis Verbruggen had a bit ride in that. He was down in 16th, managed to get back to 5th, but the gate drops and not a good jump there for Marvin Musquin, getting squeezed to the inside by the number 5 of Rui Gonçalves. But look who it is out front, 128. That's Rasmus Jorgensen, the European MX2 rider. Got off to a flying start, but already has been swallowed up by Rui Gonçalves and Marvin Musquin. So a great recovery from our championship leader, trying to go around the outside of the Danish Suzuki rider as they head under the Red Bull Bridge over the finish line jump here on this opening lap. But Rui Gonçalves already coming under pressure from 25 Marvin Musquin. And Musquin here in these rainy conditions in this opening moto of the weekend, trying to stamp his authority. He was very fast in qualification yesterday, victorious over the rest of the field. And he did it with some kind of style and ease as well. But Rui Gonçalves certainly not making it easy for him here, as the two riders almost collide there, going over that camelback. Gonçalves fighting through that tight, choppy inside line there. Musquin trying to go around the outside. You see how tricky the conditions are. We had rain all through the night and all of the morning leading up to this race. And that water starting to settle in parts of the circuit. Nicolas Oban, he's battling down there with his teammate Guarneri. They're just outside the top 10 at the moment. Riders already having visibility problems in this opening moto. The rain really starting to pour down here now. There is Guarneri. He's down in 5th now. Got Nicolas Oban behind him in 6th. Under the second of the Red Bull bridges through this right-hander and past the work area. Both riders getting the hurry up from their pit crew. They are in the same Monster Energy Ritchie team, by the way. Marvin Musquin, though, picking his way nicely through the bumps and the ruts around this tough Lommel circuit. No one gave him a chance before he came here. But look at him on his way to 25 points in race 1. Out of the final corner. And Marvin Musquin over the plateau, under the Red Bull Bridge, takes the checkered flag here. Nice little heel clicker as well. Gonçalves was second, Roulants third, Van Horbeek fourth. KTM's filling out the first 4 positions. Dennis Verbruggen, good ride for him in 5th. Roxon was 6th, Guarneri 7th, Jorgensen was 8th, Manuel Moni was 9th, and Larrière was 10th. Good ride for Jake Nichols in 11th. Nicolas Oban eventually dropped down to 13th. Nikolai Larsen, good ride for him as well on the Berskun Suzuki. He was 14th ahead of Gauthier Paulin in 15th. As far as the championship goes, Marvin Musquin extends his lead, but Rui Gonçalves now is 2nd. Paulin drops to 3rd. Guarneri still 4th ahead of Frossard. Roxon was 6th. Frossard DNFing race 1. MX2, race 2, and a better start for Marvin Musquin, who comes across Davide Guarneri and Rui Gonçalves this time. And once again, 128. Rasmus Jorgensen, the Dane, fast starter there. There's our onboard camera, Yohei Kojima on the Tech Europe Suzuki, just getting squeezed there by August Just on the Latvia Honda Elchny machine. Weather conditions slightly better than they were in race 1, at least it's not raining anyway, although there were a few spots of rain about 10 minutes before the start of this second moto. Marvin Musquin leads from Joel Roulants 2nd, Oban 3rd, Rasmussen Jorgensen 4th. Looked like one of the other Monster Energy Yamahas there in 5th place. That would have been Guarneri. Oh, Joel Roulants almost going down there. Matthias Caro having a good start as well, the Latvian on the Motorvision Racing Suzuki. He's down and around about 5th place at the moment, but Joel Roulants, the Belgian on the factory junior KTM, trying to better his result here of 6th position last year. Well, his position in race 1 was 3rd. And there we see the number 91, Matisse Caro, losing 2 positions there as the hard-charging number 5, Rui Gonçalves on the factory Red Bull KTM, came down the inside of the Suzuki rider. That also opened the door for the 335, Dennis Verbruggen on the LS Motors Honda, who's also challenging the Portuguese rider Rui Gonçalves, a 4-time Grand Prix winner already in 2009. Dennis Verbruggen will be looking for his best overall finish of this season here. This is the battle for 4th place. Verbruggen was 5th in race 1. And looking to go slightly better in race 2. Can he pass Rui Gonçalves for 4th? Will he be able to do anything about Nicolas Aubin and Joel Roulants in 3rd and 2nd respectively? Well, not with mistakes like that he won't. And that allows Gonçalves just to sneak a few more yards. Marvin Musquin, just over 10 minutes to go, doubling his way through the wave section quite confidently, quite easily as well. Not many riders able to do that at this stage of the day, considering how tricky conditions are out on this Lommel circuit. Stephen Frossard in the pits for the CLS Kawasaki squad, the 2nd DNF of the day for him. Not his weekend. That means Ken Roczen, number 94, that man on screen who currently resides in 10th place, is certainly going to close down on him in the championship standings. Roczen down in 6th place at the moment, Roczen 5th. 3rd in the moto though on the Monster Energy Richie Yamaha, Nicolas Aubin took a 2nd place finish in moto number 2 here in 2008. Looking good for a podium, but almost off the bike there as he comes under the Tecker Bridge. Obviously had a collision with somebody there. He's got a boot buckle coming undone on that right side. But still going strong here with 2.5 minutes plus 2 laps to go. Sitting there in 3rd position at the moment. Marcus Schiff having a good ride down in 7th. Guarneri 8th. Ken Roczen now to 9th, and an off-track excursion there for Nicolas Aubin. Caught the marshals by surprise, and fortunate for him, not catching any of that trackside banner in his rear wheel. Also, Dennis Verbruggen not able to capitalise on that mistake. So still holding that 3rd position behind this man here, although a considerable distance behind him now. Joel Roulants, the Belgian crowd getting behind him here, because this would be good enough for 2nd overall if he was to stay there. Marvin Musquin would win the Grand Prix. There's Loic Larieux, the teammate to Nicolas Aubin. So not a good 2nd race for the young Frenchman. Ken Roczen, though, having a good, strong ride in the 2nd part of this race. Verbruggen now 3rd, Aubin dropping back to 4th, Schiffer now up to 5th place, Gonçalves now in 6th, but he's just been passed actually by Ken Roczen. So it's Gonçalves who's starting to fade here. There he is, the number 5 Red Bull KTM rider. And not riding 100% this weekend, Rui Gonçalves, riding with a slight bug. So not 100% in physical condition, but Ken Roczen, he won't mind about that because he's behind him in the championship. He'll also close a couple more points on Stephen Frossard. But making it look oh so easy, coming out of the final corner, number 25 on the factory Red Bull KTM, Marvin Musquin. He was victorious in race 1, victorious here in race 2, 50 points on the board, extends his championship lead in the process. Gauthier Paulin just being lapped there in the background, our former championship leader. So race 2 then, a win for Marvin Musquin. Roulants was 2nd, Verbruggen 3rd, Aubin 4th, Schiffer 5th, Roczen, Jorgensen and Rui Gonçalves dropping down to 8th in the end. 9th was Davide Guarneri, 10th Manuel Moni, Larieux hang on there for 11th, Rossier 12th, Paulin, Pocock, Tonus and Van Hoorbeek rounding out the 16th position. Musquin wins the Grand Prix from Roulants and Verbruggen, so just as it was in the 2nd race classification. Gonçalves just missing out on a podium in 4th, Roczen was 5th. Jeremy Van Hoorbeek, the Belgian, down there in 10th place. I'm sure he would have wanted better.